Mission Control, the Spacepod has landed.
Alright, advice for the short rider. Short riders have a hard time with motorcycles because they can't touch down very well. It adds an extra variable, a scary variable, to learning to ride if you're a beginner, and it adds a little inconvenience if you're an experienced user. However, experience does lessen the intimidation factor of being a short rider on a tall bike. So, short riders have to deal with a lot of stuff. First things first, the bike. Now, as bikes go, cruisers are already pretty short, pretty low to the ground, and the seats may be wide, but they are low to the ground and quite easy to foot. So I'm not going to talk about cruisers because cruisers are pretty much a no-brainer. If you're really, really short and you want a sport bike, that's where the trickiness comes in, because sport bikes are tall, generally. Now, I have a lot of experience being a short rider, meaning I've been through the ringer on which bikes are short, which bikes are tall, which bikes are kind of in between, and here we go. So the best bike for a beginner short rider is the bike I am riding now. That is a Kawasaki Ninja 300, which I affectionately call the ZX-R. 2013, 2014 models are out there, used and new. And if you want a new bike, that's great, go for it. This bike is pretty narrow, pretty short, so there's two things that factor in with how tall a bike is. It has to do with its actual height and its actual width, splaying your inseam out and robbing you of precious inseam. So the Ninja 300 is one of the best bikes to start on for a short rider, especially a short new rider. And a lot of experienced riders like myself like this bike too, because it is just that good. Other good sport bikes for short riders starting out. The Honda CBR 250R. Single cylinder bike, pretty good, pretty light, very light actually, lighter than the 300. And very easy to foot, nice and narrow, nice and low. Another good bike, CBR 500R. This was Honda's answer to the Ninja 300. Quite a capable bike, doesn't rev as much, doesn't have a slipper clutch, but it has a lot more torque, very linear power delivery, and it's quite a good bike, gotten good reviews. Although, admittedly, the 300 has beaten it in the reviews I've seen so far. Still a good bike, and I sat on one, didn't ride one yet, but it is quite short and narrow enough. So another good bike to consider. There we go. Let's see, those are the little small bikes I was talking about. Now, I have to tell you that Yamaha is coming out with an R3. Not a lot is known about it yet. We don't know if it's a parallel twin or a triple. We're hoping it's a triple. Some of us anyway, because parallel twins have been done to death. But what that means is Yamaha has responded to Kawasaki's 300 and has taken the threat seriously. And yes, they're coming out with an R3, and I'm ecstatic for that. But Honda's also coming out with a CBR 300R, which is a single-cylinder bike. So if you're a fan of single cylinders, I'm not. But if you are, you now have a choice of a single-cylinder 300 by Honda. Don't forget the KTM 390. I don't know how tall that bike is, but it should be considered among the smaller bikes. So let's see, going up the range, we have the sports standards. Ninja 650 is very footable, a little taller than the 300, but not by much. Still very narrow. 650 cc's, parallel twin power. And I've reviewed this bike in my videos, check it out if you like, and I gave it a really good review. Super fun, lots of torque, very comfortable riding position. Another sports standard bike is the Honda CBR 650F. And and I just reviewed that. That's the latest bike I reviewed. It just came out, and I actually like that a little bit better than the Kawasaki Ninja 650. Inline 4, detuned CBR 600RR engine, and super fun bike. Affordable, very, very easy on the shorties, not too tall, not too wide. Excellent, excellent bike. Another bike in the sports standard class, the Yamaha FC6R. You know, it's about the same height as the Ninja 650 and the CBR 650F. Not too tall, but I didn't like that bike as much because of the fueling, but granted, this was an older bike, and I think they probably fixed that by now. So, all is well there. So, going up the range further still, Super Sports. Now, a lot of you are very curious about the shorter Super Sports, because these are where the bikes start to get really tall if you don't know what to look for. That's a nice old truck. So, the most comfortable Super Sport that I found and owned is the GSX-R 600. Oh, did I start in second gear? GSX-R 600, 750, and even the 1000 are all quite narrow, which makes them very easy on the shorties. They don't rob your inseam. They make the most of your inseam. And my 600 and 750 GSX-Rs, let's see, I had a 2007 600, I had a 2009 750, very low, very narrow, and very comfortable as sport bikes go. Pretty much, I think, the most comfortable sport bikes you can pretty much buy today. Going up the range a little bit, the Ninja 636 is a little bit taller than the Suzuki GSX-R, or a good bit taller, but I'd say that's the second lowest sport bike you can buy, and also a really good one. We all know the legendary 636, and yeah, I'm a big fan of that bike. That's actually my second personal choice if I were to buy a Super Sport today. Going up the range a little bit, I would say the Honda CBR 600RR. It's historically been a little bit tall, but these days it seems about on par with the 636. And remember, you only need to get 1 foot on the ground per MSF. You don't need to have both feet on the ground, and I'll cover more of that later. You only need 1 foot on the ground at stops and you are good to go. Some of the tallest bikes you can buy, the Super Sports, are the R6, super tall. If you're a short rider, it's really tall because it's so wide. Now, as a note to that, the Yamaha R1 is actually quite narrow. It's quite footable. If you're a short rider and you want a leader bike, the R1, which I've owned, I had a 2005 R1, quite low, quite footable. Surprisingly so, actually lower than the R6. And another tall Super Sport is the Triumph Daytona 675R. However, for 2014, they've lowered that bike 10mm, and they've raised the clip-ons 5mm. So they've made the rider triangle more comfortable, and it's easier for shorties, and it is already a narrow bike, and it's very light. So that bike is currently at the top of my list of any Super Sport anywhere. Especially of the bikes I've ridden. Definitely the top. I love that triple engine. And yeah, just a really nice bike. Alright, let's cover some gear, shall we? Actually, before we cover gear, I'm going to talk about various techniques as a short rider that you're going to need to do differently than a tall rider. First of all, you're going to need to push the bike when you're off the bike. Make sure that you do not try to back up your bike up a hill, especially in gravel or dirt. Don't worry about how it looks. Worry about the fact that you could easily drop your bike if you don't get this right. So if you're in gravel or dirt, get off the bike, move it to where you want to go, and get on it and off you go. If you're a new rider, this is even more critical because you want to reduce the amount of variables that are going to make you crash or drop. You know, do your riding on the actual paved roads or the track. Also, when you put a foot down, make sure that you're putting a foot down where there's actual street, not a pothole, not an irrigation ditch, as I have done and dropped my bike in front of my own place. So you need to be a little bit more careful. If you're on a road with a crown, in other words, the middle of the road is higher, and you stop on the crown, you're going to have a hard time getting your foot down because the areas to either side of the crown are going to be lower than you expect, lower than you're used to. So keep that in mind. Ideally, you want to stop at the low part and put your foot on the crown, then you'll feel super tall. Yeah, so don't step in holes, watch where you put your feet, all that good stuff. Now, short riders, you're going to tend to get your balance control very good. Work on your low speed control, and you're good to go. Okay, gear, all important gear. Let's talk about gear. So what do you do if you're a short person, short guy, short girl? Well, you're going to have a hard time buying a DAINESE suit, an Alpine-Star suit right off the rack. That's going to be nearly impossible. If you're under 5'3" or so, maybe even under 5'5", I recommend you do not pass go, you do not collect $200, you go custom the first time and every time. So the reason is, first of all, you're not going to have to suffer a bunch of rejection watching all the great gear that you can't buy because they don't make it in your size. Or if they do make it in your size, they don't stock it. Why don't they stock it? Because you're too short, and short people don't come in and buy gear often enough, and therefore screw you because you're short. Thank you for not killing me today. So, I recommend you go custom. Some good custom companies. I like Z Custom Leathers in Huntington Beach, California. Maybe Santa Ana, depending on where they actually are. It's around that area. Talk to Adolf at Z Custom. Tell him Spacepod sent you. He's an awesome dude. Austrian expat, and makes a great set of leathers. Custom. Every time for me, and that's all I care about these days. I will not bother with an off-the-rack suit because I don't exist in their world. So, the other benefit of custom: you get to pick your own leathers, you get to pick your own colors, you get to pick your own reflectives, you get to have someone design your suit. You, me, anyone, an artist, whoever it is, your grandmother, your babysitter, doesn't matter. You get to design the suit, and that is awesome. If you've always wanted a fuchsia suit, now's your chance. Okay, the other great thing about a custom suit, yes, you can design in your own reflectives, you can add knee pucks or not. I don't scrape knee on the street, so I don't even have knee pucks, but I do have all the protection anyone would have in a suit normally. What else? So you're getting a custom suit, it's going to fit you, it's made for you, it's not made for some, amalgam of, the average rider out there. Forget that. You can get the suit made for you and only you. Okay, so we've covered custom suits, and I love a good custom suit, and the customizability is great. Now, the other great thing about a custom suit is you won't have a bunch of logos everywhere, which is one big objection I have about DAINESE suits. Even though I love DAINESE, I don't want their logo everywhere. I want my theme, whatever it is. Now, I happen to be someone who likes themes, and I have an astronaut themed suit, which is the first of its kind in the motovlogger world. And I designed it myself based on the NASA EVA suits, extra vehicular activity, that's what that means. Basically the space suit. But you can make a suit as vanilla as you want. You can make it as straight-laced as you want. You can make it a Valentino Rossi theme, a racer theme, no theme, whatever you want to do. You can simply have your name put on it and not have it plastered in speed and strength logos, DAINESE, Alpine Stars, whatever. Okay, so the next item that's difficult for short riders, gloves. Gloves are difficult. If you're a male and you don't want to shop for female gloves, DAINESE is awesome because they actually make an extra small men's leather glove. And DAINESE, you are awesome for that. Here's my glove right here. And this thing fits me like a glove. I'm here all week, try the wings. I haven't found a lot of other manufacturers that make a men's extra small glove in leather, but DAINESE does. So that's awesome. Now, custom gloves, I don't know a lot of places to get those. Z Custom used to make custom gloves, and I wish they did today, but they don't seem to anymore. Now, for textile, if you are averse to leather, maybe you're a vegan, vegetarian, Maybe you just love textile. You can get extra small sizes in FIELDSHEER brand, and that's pretty cool. FIELDSHEER also makes a lot of other extra small sizes of gear. If you like Aerostitch Roadcrafter, you can of course get that custom fitted to you. Boots. Now, my secret weapon for the boots, as some of you know, are the Frey Daytona boot, M-Star or Lady Star. Now, keep in mind, there is no difference between the Lady Star and the M-Star. The only difference is that they call it Lady Star if it's size 38 or under. I think it's that cutoff. And they call it M-Star if it's bigger. There's no other difference. And frankly, I think it's silly to change the name based on size. They should give it one name like the Star boot. But that boot is awesome for shorties. That's what I wear. That boot is sold exclusively in North America by Helmut, and I'll put that link up here. Helmut stands for Helmut. That's a person's name. Linda and motorcycle. Now, Linda is short, and Helmut, he's another Austrian, had the boot made in Germany by Frey Daytona for his wife Linda because she's short, and it has a good size insole on the inside of the boot, which gives you a lot more inseam than you would otherwise have, but it doesn't make the boot chunkier. You can still get it under your shifter without a problem. It's not like wearing platforms. You can get custom colors if you want. I think it's an extra $150 charge, and my white boots are a custom Daytona boot. And my first pair lasted me well over a decade, and they're black. Black is the normal color. Survey crew, okay. So boots have been tough, but that's the secret weapon, is Frey Daytona. In North America, Helmut is the exclusive distributor. You may find other distributors in other parts of the world. I think sometimes people think I'm a cop. Okay, what else would a shorty need? Well, we got gloves covered, we got boots covered, we got the suit covered. Helmets, well, helmets are universal, basically. A short person can have a large head. Some tall people have tiny heads. So helmet is whatever's comfortable. Try it on in the shop, leave it on for 10 to 15 minutes, check for hot spots, and go from there. Now, what are options for the short rider if you've done all that? You're still having a hard time on your bike, and you're so new that you really want to eliminate the variable of a tall bike. A couple things you can do. You can shave down a seat. Now, shaving down a seat is pretty much what it sounds like. You take off the cover, you shave down the foam, and you can use an electric knife for that or some other means, rotary tool, whatever, and you would reupholster it yourself. Now, that can have dicey results if you're not good at that, and maybe you don't want to practice on your seat. So you can also go to an upholsterer. I like Angelo's Upholstery in North Hollywood, California, and I like this place because the guy has done so many seats now. I was the first. He's just really good at it, and he works by mail. So talk to John Angelo of Angelo's Upholstery in North Hollywood, and I believe he's still in business, still cutting down seats among everything else he does. Now, as a last resort, you can lower a bike. Now, from what I've read in Sport Rider and Motorcyclist magazines, you shouldn't lower a bike more than 1.5 inches, and if you lower the rear, you're going to have to lower the front to match to keep the bike level. So, that's good advice, and what happens when you lower a bike is you lose some travel, you lose some lean angle travel, which is why cruisers don't make for good race bikes, and your kickstand will probably be too long. So you can cut the kickstand, but I don't advise that because resale becomes dicey. Or what they offer a lot of times is aftermarket kickstands, which are adjustable in length, And that's actually an elegant solution because you can replace the stock kickstand when and if you resell the bike. So lowering a bike is an option if you absolutely need to do it. Now, if you do lower a bike, I suggest you get the adjustable lowering kit where you can sneak up on the amount of lowering that you need without going straight to 1.5 inches straight away. If you can only lower a bike 1/2 inch and that helps you, then I would stop there. You could probably get by with your stock kickstand. So what I recommend even better than that is to just get used to the bike at its stock height. And this way, if you try other bikes, it's not so shocking when they're really tall. But if you really just want to be comfortable, you got to do what you need to do to be comfortable, and I support that. That's why I make these videos. Now, keep in mind that with experience, the height of the bike matters less. I found that personally when I got my first real motorcycle in 2000. It was a 1999 Ninja 250. 29.5 inch seat height, ask me why I know that, and quite an unintimidating bike, nice and low, and really great for a beginning rider. Nowadays, I don't care so much how tall a bike is as long as I like the bike. I'm willing to deal with a little height if I like the bike well enough. So there's that. And I should mention the Ninja 250 is a very low bike. If you find a really nice specimen, used or new, that's a very low bike. One of the lowest you're going to find for a small sport bike. I think the 300 is a better first bike just because it's got all the niceties of a modern bike. Slipper clutch, fuel injection, better suspension, bigger tires, meaning you have a wider choice of tires. And better on the freeway, all that stuff, more power. So the 300, I mean, it pretty much replaced the 250 anyway. So that's sort of my go-to default for the short or new rider. And I ride one, so I definitely know what it's like and what it's capable of and what you can do with it as far as mods go. So short riders, that's pretty much it. Hang in there. Start with a bike that isn't too crazy tall and get your riding chops together. Learn what you need to learn and go from there. You know, eventually you'll be less intimidated by the height of a bike. And I wish you all the best. If you have any further questions, just ask me, comment on this. I'll answer anything I can. And that's it. Check me out on Facebook if you like, or Instagram, and I'll link them in the description. If you want your own ZX-R stickers, just follow the link. And thanks for watching. Spacepod out.